Hey folks, Nathan here from the Star Wars Timeline Gold, Star Wars Beyond the Films, and the Star Wars Sports Rebels Roundtable, bringing you a look at another X-Wing product. Years ago, in 2012, we got this red starter set featuring ships from the classic trilogy, 1 X-Wing and 2 TIE Fighters. Now we're taking a look at the new core set for 2015, based on The Force Awakens. We have the blue, so to speak, X-Wing miniatures game core set. This including 1 X-Wing and 2 TIE Fighters, this time based on The Force Awakens and the sequel trilogy era. Now, bear with me. There's a lot of stuff to cover here. We talk about contents, and along the way, I want to make some comparisons to what we got in the original core set, so you can make your own comparison as far as the value found here versus there. For the most part, they are equivalent, but there are some changes. So first, let's talk about the ships. This is our new T-70 X-Wing from the Resistance faction. They have expanded it now so it's not just Rebel, Imperial, and Scum and Villainy as 3 regular factions. We're now assuming some sub-factions at play. So the Rebel player can play as either the Rebel Alliance or can play as the Resistance, like with this T-70 X-Wing, whereas the Imperial player could play as the Galactic Empire or the First Order, which has these new darker in color, different wing designed TIE fighters here, the First Order or TIE/FO fighter. Very nice here. And Scum and Villainy is now a sub-faction of a broader faction called simply Scum for now. It's the only sub-faction there. So you can play with these miniatures and all these materials with the game you already own. Now, as far as stands, of course, you just got the 3, because there's just the 3 ships there, equivalent to what we got back in the original core set. Slightly different division of the materials for reference. We have a rules reference now, a learn to play guide, and then we have a mission guide. So this is where your tutorial mission is now, kind of like the quick startup guide, except a little bit more detailed. Then rather than having a broader learn to play booklet or rules of play booklet, the rules reference deals with things individually. This does work in a lot of the rules, like cloaking and boost and whatnot, that were introduced through the expansions as time went on. And instead of having your missions tucked in the back of this or this, they get their own little booklet here. There is a little advertisement with it, of course. Has an X-Wing advertisement on the one side and various products being advertised on the back. Oddly enough, that is something that we saw back with the core set, except it was advertised in that first set of Wave 1 items. And we have one of those little, hey, here's a booklet of stuff coming out from Fantasy Flight Games. Now, just kind of sweeping through here. This is a new updated damage deck. This is now the official one for tournament play. It has been updated to some degree. We then have ID tokens. This time we have ID tokens 1 through 6, of course, in groups of 3. That cuts 9 ID tokens from the original core set, because that one went all the way up to 9. We'll come to our ship cards momentarily. We have our ship tokens. We have for the T-70 X-Wing, Blue Ace, with Blue Squadron Novice on the back. Poe Dameron, with Red Squadron Veteran on the back. And these are in pairs. You have Zeta Ace, with Epsilon Squad Pilot on the back. But Epsilon Squad Pilot and Zeta Ace said they're 2 identical ship tokens here. So they each have the one on the one side, the one on the other. They come in a pair. Same thing with these. Zeta Squadron Pilot and Epsilon Leader, Omega Squadron Pilot and Omega Ace. So we have a total of 8 ship tokens, just like in the original core set, and same number of dice as in the original core set and the dice pack. 3 defense, 3 attack. Then token-wise, we also, of course, have our evade and focus tokens. We have the same number of evade tokens as before. We have 1 more token for focus than we did before. Last set had 3, this set has 4. We then have 6 asteroid obstacle tokens. Bear in mind they are the same number of tokens as back in the original core set, but they are different shapes this time. We also, of course, have our maneuver dials to go with the ships. The TIEs now say TIE/FO fighter, and the X-Wing one says T-70 X-Wing. You can also tell a slight difference because you have your different symbol there for the Resistance and for the First Order. Continuing along looking at tokens and whatnot, we have 4 damage tokens. Right, we have 3 for 1 and 1 for 2. These are a new addition to this set based on one of the missions. We have 7 shield tokens. We only had 3 back in the original core set, so this is 5 more shield tokens than before. Then we have ourselves a new initiative token. Initiative is handled a slightly different way here in the new version of the game. So we got our initiative token here to keep track of who has initiative. We then have our tracking tokens, 8 as before. Critical hit tokens, 3 as before. Satellite tokens for one of the missions, that is actually 5 when we used to have only 4 from the original core set. We then have 6 new mine tokens, new as in not from the original core set. And instead of having that shuttle token for one of the missions, this one has one called Squad Mate. We then have 3 stress tokens. We have a total of 6 target lock tokens, of course in pairs. We got an AB pair, a CD pair, an EF pair. Just as we had before, same thing with the stress tokens, same number we had before. Now we have the same number of upgrade cards and ship cards as we had before, but of course they are somewhat different. Our upgrades are R5X3, BB-8, Wired, Weapons Guidance, and Proton Torpedoes. For our First Order TIE Fighter, our ship cards, our pilots, Omega Ace, Epsilon Leader, Zeta Ace, Omega Squadron Pilot, another Omega Squadron Pilot, a pair of Zeta Squadron Pilot, and then another pair of Epsilon Squadron Pilot. For the T-70 X-Wing, we have 4. We have Poe Dameron, Blue Ace, Red Squadron Veteran, and Blue Squadron Novice. Again, these are all bearing that new symbol there that you can see. Then we have our maneuver templates. Same number as before, but they do have some extra information on them this time. We got our 45-degree angle ones, our 90-degree angle ones, and our straight-ahead ones here. But you notice, aside from just the curving nature here, we also have them for the special turns that can also be executed. So, slightly updated. I mean, they're the same shape and everything, but they do have some different things marked on them to help out the player. And of course, we have our standard range ruler. So again, just like with the first box set, I think this is a great amount of stuff here, a great way to start playing the game. If you've never played X-Wing before, this is a great time to get into it because this is a very cool little set. I will say that if you already have the original core set, there's a big question as to whether or not you need one of these. I would say yes, because A, you need the new damage deck. B, it's nice to have the slightly updated range rulers. You're going to want the initiative token. You're going to want to know how the rules have changed and have a place to have all those rules referenced in one place. And these are some pretty cool new ships from The Force Awakens with plenty of new pilots, some new upgrades amongst some familiar ones, and the like. So I definitely think this is one to check out. Yes, I know it was kind of an asinine way that Fantasy Flight Games handled the release, not letting anybody know until they actually appeared on the shelves, beyond that leak that they were quasi-denying, quasi-quashing. But this is it. Core set number 2, and hopefully, by making that comparison, you get a good sense of how this compares to the original core set. So I will see you on the gaming tables.